All right, in this video, we're going to go through some of the cartoon level excitement and gossip regarding the COPA v. Wright case and investigation of Justice Arnold, Judge Miller, and the involvement of Tufty the cat, Mr. David Pearce, and also do a potential invite or challenge to Mr. Gregory Maxwell to come on for a show with none other than Dr. Wright and have a little friendly talk and a discussion. Two old pals palling around. So let's get into it right now. All right, first things first, here's the change.org petition. It's going to be in the description below. It's got 711 signatures. Right now, 9:45 p.m., December 2nd, 2024. And you can see we had 289 signatures today. And this is ultimately the petition that is just looking to potentially investigate bias around this decision and what's going on. Now, just a little background here and premise. Now, if let's just turn the tables here for a moment and say, for example, that let's say that Craig Wright was determined to be Satoshi Nakamoto in March, and Judge Miller, he gave his oral ruling at the court and said, hey, looks like Craig Wright's going to be Satoshi Nakamoto, and I'll give my written judgment later. After that, Craig Wright has an event, say it's the London Blockchain Conference, and I go, and I have some friends go. Craig Wright's going to be there. And also, I invite Judge Miller, and I invite Justice Arnold too. A couple guys that I just wanted to get to know better. So they come in and they're speakers at the event. They're talking a little round table. And Craig Wright, he doesn't really talk to them, but he's just kind of involved. He's kind of involved in the event a little bit, kind of as a honorable mention. And Miller and I, we have a little chat about the case. Hey, how's the case going? How's everything going with the case? It's going pretty good. Yeah, really. And what about Arnold? How's he doing? Oh, he's doing good too. What do you think about old Craig Wright? What do you guys think about old Bitcoin and all that? How do you think? Oh, and we don't really, we discuss what we discuss. It's really kind of off the record. Then later on, some pictures come out on the internet that me and the judge are meeting at the event. There we are. We're at the event. We're talking. We're having a laugh. And then the ruling comes out. Okay. And then COPA finds out about this. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's Gavin right there at the event talking to Judge Miller at that event before the judgment came out. This is an outrage. This is a disgrace to the judicial system. This is what COPA would say. This is just a mockery of Her Majesty's integrity. She should be rolling over in her grave right now. I mean, COPA would probably flood the newspapers of the British Times, then it'd be in the New York Times and the LA Times. It'd be everywhere. This is exactly what just went on. But now for the little tiny, Craig Wright, the little guy who stands up to this giant behemoth COPA, and little people like myself who have, small audience when we're talking about the scheme of things of this giant COPA, which is, again, started with Zuckerberg, started with Dorsey, started with Michael Saylor. These are the whales beyond whales on the other side of the fence on COPA with just a little nobody with Craig Wright on the other side. So turn the tables, and what would COPA do? They would absolutely fight everything they've got to bring a petition like this. So don't let them say, I say in this case, I'm not going to challenge, I'm going to object strongly to them saying, oh, it's not proper, it's over. No, dude, no. So let's just break it down a little further about Justice Miller and the problem that I'm seeing here directly with him. Now let's just read the transcript. Okay, let me make it clear. As far as I can recollect, I've only met Mr. Pearce twice. The first time was at a Union IP event in Munich in February 2023. So that was a year before the identity trial. I have absolutely no recollection of him telling me anything about Bitcoin. All right. Let's take a look about what Mr. Pearce said. Here he is.
Didn't have dinner.
It wasn't dinner. Okay. Had shared. And, maybe you could give a little background. I know that you had dinner with the court more recently, or, and so how'd that go?
No, I didn't have dinner.
It wasn't dinner. Okay.
I did have dinner with Justice Mellor last year. When I was I think I mentioned it last time. I was at a Union IP event. It's a pan-European IP group that I'm involved in. So he was on one. He was one of the judges on the panel that we got for this patent seminar. and we always have the dinner the night before. So I met him there first time, and just, sussed him out, as it were. We deliberately didn't talk about Craig Wright because, he told us that he had these 4 cases coming up that had just been assigned to him, I think only a few weeks before that. So yeah, we avoided speaking about Craig Wright, but we did talk about Bitcoin.
We did talk about Bitcoin. Interesting. Mellor, I have absolutely no recollection of him telling me anything about Bitcoin at all. None. Never happened. Mellor, we got you. Mellor, you learned about Bitcoin from Mr. Pearce. He clearly explained that to you. Why are you denying it here? Why not just admit it? You've already admitted, Miller's already admitted talking about the case. He's already admitted being at the event, potential COPA event. Why deny talking about Bitcoin in 2023? Now your credibility is gone, dude. Everybody online can see now that Mellor has absolutely lied. Dude, I'm calling him out. He lied on the record. We just saw it. I just played it. Mr. Pearce said, we talked about Bitcoin. Mellor says, oh, we didn't talk about Bitcoin. No. What is he going to call? Oh, plausible deniability? Fine, plausible deniability, but you lost your credibility, dude. Recuse yourself. Here's another one we've got as well. Just some more, rather compelling entertainment. All right, now this is another clip.
Effectively.
So
talking
did you
about
talk to Justice Mellor at all?
Well, he came up to me before
He remembered you. So what he
he
said?
remembered me, which was nice. And then I started blathering on about this book I've just read, that one, 24.
Oh,
And mentioned that it's all about Bitcoin, and it's basically magical realism novel about Bitcoin that's sort of a bit Salman Rushdie-ish, and it involves these 24 words that turn out to be a seed phrase for Bitcoin. And surprisingly to me, he wasn't aware of deterministic wallets. So I started saying, hierarchical deterministic wallets, you can have a 24 words, and then that will determine all.
So we could see here that we've got another back again to what Mellor said. Yeah, I have no recollection of Tim telling me anything about Bitcoin. And certainly, by the time the identity trial came along, I had nothing of what he told me. All right, so what's going on here? The second time, again, it's multiple times here that Mellor's is been shown that he's not credible as to what he's saying. So what if he's denying talking about Bitcoin once and twice and maybe twice, then what else is he not telling us? Again, it's not about bias. It's about just a reasonable person appearing for bias, suspicion of bias. Now, Mr. Maxwell had also replied to me. So let's go over to that. I had Mr. Maxwell, or he made a comment here. He says, Mr. Pearce is not a representative of COPA. He has never had a relationship with them. You need to get treatment for lying. And he goes into saying how COPA and KIPA are different here. And he makes his point. Now, I said, Greg, he's an representative of Adam Back. He said he represented Adam Back to Judge Miller. Mr. Back is a witness and a COPA board member. Mr. Maxwell says that Adam Back wanted to know. That was a reference to a public tweet by Adam, but nothing to do with that he represented Adam. Adam's not a COPA board member. Well, I remember at the trial, we already found out that Adam is a COPA board member. He was COPA. That's on the record. Okay, that Mr. Maxwell, I got to challenge you on that one. Keep in mind, you only know things about. No, I don't know things. I watch the trial every single day, not just from what Mr. Pearce said. I actually was watching the trial live every single day, and I've got about 80 videos on it. So while I am just an armchair quarterback, and just a member of the press, I did watch this thing every day. So I have a good amount of knowledge on this subject. So now that being said, I do believe in free speech. So I wrote to Mr. Maxwell. I said, would you be opposed to doing a show with Dr. Wright? We can establish neutral ground, bring on the rules in advance, and ensuring equal time for both parties. So the open challenge is there to Mr. Maxwell to come on and do a show. Let's get a little talking with Dr. Wright. I think it'll be a popular show. People love to hear what you have to say. And I will definitely keep it neutral. Just a couple other comments here to go through. Lots of things on these videos here. It's super, super big. Yeah, so open challenge, Mr. Maxwell, do a show with Craig Wright, a little debate. That's an open challenge that Craig Wright has made. In addition, there's the petition is pending right now, 711 signatures. So if you haven't already signed it, Gregory Maxwell, sign it as well. Let's everybody ask you, what's wrong with investigating the court? What's wrong with that? Everybody should be open and honest and transparent about things and what's going on. And now that we've seen Judge Mellor has a conflict of story, like I showed you in the video, Mr. Pearce said they talked about Bitcoin twice on both occasions. Mr. Miller saying they didn't talk about Bitcoin on the first time. And, no, it's like, okay, what else didn't you talk about? And why were you guys talking about it way back in 2013 and 2023? And again, put yourself in COPA's position. If this happened and Craig Wright was determined Satoshi and Craig Wright had an event, I went and talked to the court, I went and talked to Justice Mellor at an event, had him speaking there, they would absolutely raise hell. And so we're not asking about it. I'm not asking about some sort of a, big conspiracy and all this. I'm just saying at the next hearing, before they try to bring Craig into chains and take him away in custody and put him into a yellow jumpsuit, let's get another judge up there. Mellor, recuse yourself, or Craig Wright can file a motion to disqualify him based upon this great public interest here with 711 signatures. And they can have an honest, reasonable, fair, determined judge to hear the contempt hearing. And if Craig Wright does bring that motion, it takes away the jurisdiction of the court, so there won't be any hearing on the 18th if he files that sort of motion, because Mellor won't have jurisdiction to hear anything. His disqualification will be at issue by another judge. So that being said, I would say if that doesn't happen, then you can expect revenge to be brought down on Craig Wright for this petition, and Craig Wright being the one who's, potentially been the one who's brought all these people together, which is not true, but it'll be the revenge by the court. Mellor will take it out on Craig Wright, and he'll put him in custody, and he will, put him into lock him into chains and put him into a nut house. Probably that'll be usually what happens. They happened to my buddy out here and put him in a Napa nut house in California when he was outside of the system. He wasn't following their rules, and they considered him a danger to society. He never harmed anybody ever, never harmed a fly, but they considered him nuts. And I think they'll do this. They'll try to do the same thing to Craig here, shoot him up with drugs, put him into a quack house right after this at that hearing if he goes in person. Again, it makes no sense, because the whole passing off case, he's not even saying he's Satoshi. That's how screwed up the just us system is right now in this Queen's court. It's Her Majesty's court. So my plea is to preserve the level of integrity that the Queen's Court's supposed to have, Her Majesty's High Court's supposed to have. Mellor, just recuse, dude. Give it up. You got this big profile case. We caught Mellor not telling the truth about being spoken to about Bitcoin. We see that now. Okay. It's okay. Get the next one, Mellor. You'll get the next guy. I guarantee it. Your legacy is going to live on and you'll be okay. But if you don't recuse, this is just now becoming the just us system. And not only is Mellor a joke, but Mr. Pearce is becoming a joke. And then this other judge, Judge Smedley, is becoming a joke as well. Not Smedley, but yeah, Judge Arnold, as he's also at the event. He's part of the just us system. So if you're not at the event and you're not Arnold, Pearce, or Mellor, and you're not in the just us system, then you're not getting any justice, because you're not part of just us. Let's get one other thing here. Tufty, it's noted that Tufty's actually said, apparently he's deleted all of his X posts. It says here, Tufty deleted all of his posts prior to November 27th. Something's up. We're sending waves out here. X is the new media. And then here's a picture where Tufty said, an artist's impression of me having a secret dinner of the cabal of judges to discuss our next downfall, the downfall of our next victim. So there's Tufty there with the judges at the next event with Justice Arnold, and there's Smedley right there, and there's Mellor, and there's the other judge that was at that patent event, and there's Tufty the cat. So great, depiction of the next event of deep state cabal judges in the UK conspiracy. I know it's laughable, but again, it's just the appearance of bias is the standard that we're looking for. Not actual bias going to be proven, just the appearance. Challenge to Mr. Maxwell. Come on to the show. We'll do a little meeting with your old pal, Dr. Wright. You guys can have a laugh together and part as friends and acquaintances and talk about Bitcoin. All right, let's do it. Hit the like button. Subscribe. I'll see you guys at the top later.